Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Lois and welcome back to UniversIO. In the last episode, we were working on that stuff. So, have a little bit of an area that we can use as a base. It's not the greatest because, well, it's not very well lit up. And there's not any walls or a building. There will eventually be a building here, I promise. I just been busy with other things and I want to do a little bit more progression in the quests before I start jumping into building the base, just so that we can kind of get the base to work well. If I know what I'm working with when I am building it, I can make things work a little bit better than if I build just a big structure and then have to rearrange things or rebuild things, because it just doesn't work out. But last time we made our bigger reactor and it works really well. It produces quite a bit of power. But right now the only thing we really have to power is our controller. And unfortunately, from what I can tell, the only things that we can actually do anything with in terms of power transfer is laser nodes, which is terrible. These things are fine, don't get me wrong. They're very kind of versatile, but these energy cards are relatively expensive, especially with the nether quartz, and it's just a pain to deal with it. So yeah, it's kind of awful. It'd be nice if I could like put the energy card somewhere else. You know what yeah, I don't know what that spot is for. I think it's for upgrades. I'm still learning LaserIO, but yeah, we don't have any good transfer anything really, other than item transfer. We do have the pipes, pretty pipes, some sort of pipes, but all things considered, it's fine. We'll deal with it. We'll live. We'll have to be creative with some stuff, but it's gonna work out. So between episodes, I moved the animals, and I built this. This is gonna be kind of the template for expanding the base in general. So we're gonna have the oak slab stairs, looks nice, and then we're going to have some sort of material with a wall, and then whatever we have inside. This is gonna be farming, mostly just the farm. So I brought all the sheep and the cows, and I also went out and found some pigs and brought them in. And yeah, we're just gonna use the mud brick slabs as like paths. I will probably end up putting botany over here, and then at some point we might even put all of our botany pots underneath all of this. We might go underground for this one, just to make things a little bit cleaner. And I want, you know, no structures really. So that's kind of the plan for that. So if I still need a lot of work to do to build bases and all that kind of stuff, what are we going to do today? Well, like I said, we're going to do some progression. I really need to find something better than fence gates. Or isn't the pressure plates, isn't the... I don't remember if there was one that's only 4 players. I think the iron pressure plates only allow players to pass. I'll have to look into that. I can't remember, and that's a vanilla mechanic that I should know, but I never use those pressure plates. I don't know anybody that does, really. But anyways, I have been somewhat busy kind of looking ahead and deciding what to do. And what we're going to do first today is I want to go ahead and make the elite exporter. I want to see where this quest line goes, because I don't know if it wants us to get into refined storage auto crafting or what. It just seems kind of odd. So we're just going to go ahead, and I have everything except for the iron, which we're going to need 4 blocks, so that's what, 36 iron? So much iron. But for the elite exporter, these things are actually really good. I've used them in other mod packs kind of on my own, and they are really good cable like stuff. It's just they're expensive. And in this mod pack, it's not too big of a deal, but there is the elite exporter, and then it wants us to make the creative one. Not actually creative in terms of like what you would normally think of it for creative. It's just an exporter that works very efficiently, and to make that we need a dragon head. Alright, so that's not happening anytime soon. And yeah, it's a lot more exporters. So that tells me what I need to know with that. And that in general, that quest line is terrible. I've read kind of while I was looking up, trying to figure out the best ways to get energy transfer specifically, because we have a lot of machines that we need to power, and if I have to make a card for every single one, that's going to be very tedious. And I think I do. I'm not sure. Again, I still need to kind of figure out all the things with LaserIO, but while looking through things, I've seen a lot of people saying that this mod pack just kind of feels meh. It feels unfinished and it feels kind of incomplete. But and I'm starting to agree with that a little bit. But we're gonna press through. I still want to do all the questing. In fact, we still need to go back and at some point make some apple pies. How difficult would that be right now? We have the capabilities to do it right this instant. So let's go ahead and do that. We need to go back here because I've been slowly kind of destroying the space. All of the farming stuff is gone. And I threw in a bunch of wheat. And we should have a bunch of sugar. We have some wheat dough. I don't know if that's something we can use to make a pie crust. No, doesn't seem it. So apple, sugar, yeah, we just need 2 sugar. I'll take a bunch of the sugar cane because why not? And some milk, which is easy enough. I need to grab, I do have a bunch of buckets, so let's grab those. And let's head back here. And before it gets night, let's go ahead and get a bucket of milk. Okay, before things start spawning on us, let's go get a bucket of milk and make an apple pie. But the other thing the big thing that I want to get into today is Project E. That's going to make my life a lot easier in general. Project E is a very overpowered mod to begin with, so anything we can do with that is going to be great. So there is that. We do get the bucket back. That's nice. And then, what is this wheat dough used for? We can make slime balls out of it. Don't need to do that anymore. Or we can cut it into pasta, which we could use for other things. Yeah, I don't really care about it. So we're just going to throw it in a chest. We need 3 apples, I believe. And let's go ahead and put that in there so we can put the rest of the sugar cane in there. And let's go ahead and make this apple pie. So that is, apparently chapter is complete again. That is fine. And then the whole bakery, we need to make 64 of those. You know what, that's not terrible. But we're gonna worry about that another time. So we got Captain Sparkle's head. Don't really need that, to be perfectly honest, but it's there. So let's throw all this wheat in here. Just trying to get some sort of semblance of inventory management, and I could just go put everything into the refined storage system, but at the same time, we're not quite ready to start using that permanently. So let's get into a couple more things. The first thing that we're going to actually do is we're going to make a flux block. Now this is part of the quest line for making technically another way to transfer power, and this might be the best way that we'll have available to us. The flux controller and then the flux points and plugs. Those are going to be super useful, and honestly we're probably going to use those more than anything else to transfer power, because that makes the most sense to me, to be perfectly honest. But in order to do all that, so the flux controller requires 5 flux blocks, which requires 5 flux dust each, plus 4 more flux dust for the flux cores, and that requires just a ton of assembly machine stuff. Or we can get some obsidian, some redstone, and 1 flux block, or bedrock. This one isn't going to work too well, but we use the obsidian, we can do things a little bit easier. And obsidian is completely renewable with EMC. So the other things that we're going to need is ender pearls and blaze rods. Blaze rods are also EMCable. So what we're going to do is make a flux block. So we need 5 dust, which I have 10. Because I've already prepped this. We need 9 in total. And we just need 1 set of flux cores. So that is 1 eye of ender. And then we have our flux block. So this thing we can set over here. We can then put a block of obsidian above it. And before we do too much else, we're going to grab a bunch of redstone. Now I don't know how much redstone in particular that we can use all at once, but we're going to throw in 3 stacks because why not? That is a lot of redstone, and we're going to turn at least a stack, if not more, into flux. So let's throw an entire stack, and actually let's throw 2. And then we should be able to just left click that. It does turn it back into cobblestone, but we have 2 stacks of flux. That's going to make things so much easier. So in order to make the controller, and the good thing is we lose the obsidian but not the block, which is amazing because we can make more obsidian. That's not a problem at all. So if we need the wireless controller, we're going to need 5 blocks. So that means we are going to need a good bit of obsidian and at least 5. So this is where things are going to get a little bit of a problem. We're going to need at least 5 of these ender pearls. And ender pearls are not quite renewable. We can get more. That's not too big of a deal. But there's not a good way to get the ender pearls right now. Once we get to the end, then we can just make a farm and not worry about it. We can just farm up a bunch of ender pearls and call it a day. But for now, we have to deal with this. So we're just going to do those 5 flux blocks, and then for the actual controller we need 1 more core. So we are going to need our last ender pearl for now, which is unfortunate because once we get more ender pearls, then we can make this stuff a lot easier. And then we just need a core. We're going to always have this extra core, and I heard a spider. I think there's going to be a spider coming over this wall. I mean, there is endermen that spawn out here, and they spawn pretty frequently, all things considered. It's just not terribly useful for us. So there is the flux controller. Flux points are what take the energy out of the system, and flux plugs are what takes the energy from our producer and puts it into the system. So we need at least 1 of each, and unfortunately they both require a bunch of flux cores. So we're going to need at least 3 more sets of things. One other thing I should mention, I was playing around with some of the lamps. There are, actually let's just do it this way. There are, 6 different lamps that are from Alchemistry, Chemlib. So we have helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and radon. We can make the first 3, and they are all different colors, but they are basically just redstone lamps. They're also really easy to make and EMCable. So it's just glass and then the element itself. And they are EMCable, and also if we place them down, power them, and then remove power, they maintain the light. So that is what we're going to use for lighting for a lot of our stuff. I just wanted to mention that because it's cool. But let's go ahead. We're going to throw this in here and throw these guys in here. And it's time now, I think, for us to start working on, you know, this everythingness is just in my way. I have so much just junk everywhere. It's awful. So I think it's time for us to start working on the Project E stuff. So if we look at the quest book, there is this huge set of quests over here that basically boils down to make every tier of everything from Project E. That is yes, it is Project E. So basically, we're going to take our transmutation table and make it a lot better and make things a lot easier and all that kind of stuff. So right now we can easily just pull things out. If we wanted to, we could make the transmutation tablet. This thing is very expensive, but is but in item form, so we can just, you know, walk around and use it whenever we need to. I don't typically like using them. It's just, I don't know what it is. I just don't like using them in the item form. I always go to the block form. However, we're going to need that for something really important, for some really important things in general. But one thing that we can definitely start working towards is this energy condenser. And an energy condenser, and then eventually a Mark II energy condenser, is amazing. And is going to make things a lot easier for us in terms of just getting supplies. We can hook systems up and call it a day type of thing. So what we need first of all is this covalence dust. There are 3 types and they are all pretty easy to make. Just requires various compounds and you get a bunch of them. So we're going to need a diamond. We're going to need a bunch of carbon. We're going to need, I think I saw silicon dioxide. And so let's make whatever we can. So I think we can make the low, and that makes 24 low covalence dust. That is a quest. We are going to learn that 100%, and we're just going to burn most of those. So the next one that we need to make is the medium. That requires strontium carbonate, iron oxide, and iron. So I know we have the iron. That is easy. Iron oxide we can get by dissolving redstone. Okay. Do we have any power in our dissolver? We do. So we'll just take a single piece of redstone. There's the iron oxide and the strontium carbonate. So it's literally just redstone. We will burn both of those. So iron. Let's get 4. And strontium. 2, 3, 4. And that will make the medium. Makes 43 of them apparently. And then the last one is diamond and a bunch of carbon. Makes the high covalence dust. Perfect. So we are going to just burn all of the stuff because why not? And then we can get the covalence dust that we need, which we need 1 of each. And the next thing that we are going to make is the alchemical chest. Now this is kind of boring, to be honest. It's just a chest. It's just a big chest. But we need a diamond and graphite blocks. So graphite is easy enough. We can even EMC the blocks themselves. So we just need 2 of those. We can put everything else back. We're going to need a chest, which I believe I have one, and 2 iron. Let's go ahead and put the redstone away, and let's put our buckets away. Why not? I will eventually sort inventory out. But let's go ahead and make the alchemical chest, and this is something else that we can EMC. So we're going to learn that. And the next big thing that we need to make is an energy condenser. This is going to be really important and is super useful in general. It is 4 diamonds, 4 obsidian. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. and obsidian. 2, 3, 4. Now we make one of these. We'll put it in there to learn it, and then we can just place this down. So what does this guy do? Well, actually, let's be smart about this. Let's replace this chest with the energy condenser. So what we can do is we can set something in that. For example, that was gonna bother me. For example, we could, what's something we can throw in there that would be good? I guess diamonds. Let's grab just a single diamond, and we're gonna put a single diamond right here. Now, if you've never seen Project E or Equivalent Exchange or EE3, or this mod has been remade so many times. The basic gist of it is everything has EMC. Everything has an equivalent matter calculation number. I don't know what EMC actually stands for, but everything has kind of an equality of, a diamond is 3000 EMC. You can turn a diamond into something else that has equivalencies. So what we can do with this energy condenser is take something like random elements. If we just throw this in here, it's gonna lag a little bit, but you can see that it's actually burning up all of the things that are going into it and is going to produce diamonds. That's it. That's all it does. And so we give this more stuff. We give this basically raw EMC, and it produces what we need. So I can actually do it manually as well. And you can just do something like this, and it's just going to burn things. Now the Mark II is obviously just going to be better. It's going to be faster. That's the big thing. But it's made 3 diamonds already. And then we can take those diamonds and put it back into our personal EMC and turn it into whatever we need. But this is going to be really important later when we get into energy collectors, and more importantly, these things called power flowers. These are going to be really important once we get there. But it's going to take a lot of crafting and a lot of EMC. So the next thing that's kind of a big important crafting component to get towards the higher power EMC stuff is we need to make Aeternalis fuel. Now this stuff is about the same, it's actually the exact same cost as a diamond. However, it is created from Mobius fuel, which is created from alchemical coal, which is created from normal coal. So we're gonna grab, do we have any normal coal? And can we EMC it? No, of course not. So that is unfortunate, but not the end of the world. We can always make more coal if we need it, but the big thing that we need to do is take 4 coal and turn it into alchemical coal. Now this we can EMC, and we're going to take just a stack of it, and we're going to turn it into Mobius fuel. We're going to turn that into Aeternalis fuel, and then we're going to burn all of those. You can't learn a Philosopher's Stone. Can we make these again? Okay, that shouldn't be too bad. If we ever lose it, it's not a big deal. So that made Aeternalis fuel. Now Aeternalis fuel we can turn into a block. Obviously it's going to be a little bit more expensive EMC wise. And basically the block is used for various things. We're going to need it for quite a few things, it looks like. So let's make sure we learn that. And it's going to want us to make the basic relay, which is just glass and obsidian with this fuel block. So let's go ahead and do that. So glass and then obsidian. And I believe we just make this basic relay. So this thing transfers EMC between different things. It's pretty slow. It's the basic one. For the record, that can be turned into something called the final relay. So if this thing it says transfer EMC once per second, relay bonus once per second, and max EMC transfer is 64 per second. So it transfers basically 64 EMC every second. The max tier of it is called the final relay, Mark 16. This thing has a relay bonus of 1 trillion per second and can transfer infinity. So it's pretty strong. And compare things, though, the basic flower flower, this guy generates EMC once every 20 ticks, which is 20 times per second. So basically, it generates once per second, and it produces 102 EMC. To give you an idea of what 102 EMC is, that's like, let's see, it's half an obsidian. So every 2 seconds you get an obsidian. Not terrible, but the final tier, the final power flower, generates a lot. Again, it's once every 20 ticks, so once per 20 ticks, so it's once a second basically, I think, if I'm understanding that correctly. And it produces 48 trillion EMC per second. That is ridiculous. So, but it's also very expensive. So we will eventually get to that, but not for a while. So the last thing it wants us to make is the transmutation tablet, which requires dark matter blocks. Dark matter is made from Aeternalis fuel and blocks of diamonds, which we should probably teach this, that we can make a block of diamond and get the Aeternalis fuel, and there is our dark matter. We can learn that, and then we can throw that in there. In fact, we're going to throw everything in there, and we can just grab 2. We have 3 dark matter. We might be able to turn these 7 diamonds into more. Nope. Dark matter is 52,000 EMC. So let's just burn all that, and we'll call it there for now. So dark matter can be turned into red matter with more Aeternalis fuel. In fact, can we make that? We can make 3 of these. Can we get 6 of these? We can. Cool. So we should be able to do something along these lines and get a red matter. And there is no loss. We put that in, we'll have the exact same. I mean, I can grab just the 3, and I can grab all the stuff we just did, because it's equivalent. That is the whole kind of gimmick of the mod. But red matter is super useful and really important. Magenta matter is the next tier, and obviously it takes 3 of those plus Aeternalis fuel, and so on and so forth until you get to fading matter, which is in the billions of EMC, and then you have to make these final shards, which are actually unreal how expensive those are. So yeah, it gets exponentially more expensive, but you get better stuff as you go. We could make a dark relay now with dark matter and just a basic relay. In fact, let's go ahead and just do that. Dark matter and basic relay. Dark relay. And we learned that. So what we're going to need to do is a couple things. I will probably want to work towards getting the power flower. Even if it's just tier 1. What's the difference between tier 1 and tier 2? Tier 1, tier 2 is pretty expensively different. But we're going to need basic collectors, and that's going to require, a lot of stuff. And see, the basic EMC link, this is what's more expensive. We do need to get transmutation tablets, which requires a bunch of dark matter and graphite, and we just don't have everything for that. And then we're also going to need to make, nope, that's the wrong thing. We're going to need to make more transmutation tables, which is luckily pretty cheap. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. It's 4 of these and 4 obsidian. and I think something like this, if we balance and just try that. Nope. Let's rotate. And there is the transmutation table. And now we've learned it. Cool. So we can now make as many of those as we need. So we just need a bunch of EMC. And so that is kind of where we're at for right now. Eventually we'll get a bunch of EMC somehow. And we'll be able to then turn it into really useful things that will self-propagate, basically. We will use EMC to generate EMC to make better things that generate more EMC, and so forth and so on until we are at the max. And that's kind of the idea and the gist of what we're going to be doing with Project E. Now, why did I do all of that? Well, these transmutation, these energy condensers rather, not transmutation tables, the energy condensers are going to be super useful for us because currently I have to pull out, let's say I want a bunch of uranium. I have to do that. And then I have to do whatever I want with it. If I can just make a bunch of energy condensers for basic materials, I can sort of automate the basic, you know, diamonds, gold, iron. Unfortunately not redstone, but I think we can do glowstone. I don't believe redstone blocks are something we can get. EMC? No. So unfortunately, we still have to mana infuse redstone, which is luckily pretty cheap, but that's the only way we can really get the stuff. So that's unfortunate, but redstone is like the only thing that we can't just EMC in some form or another. Gold is gold dust, iron dust, glowstone. While glowstone dust doesn't, we can get glowstone. We can get glowstone blocks and then break them. So there are definitely ways to get most things. And so that's kind of where we're at. So things I need to do between episodes. I am going to probably dig down in the nether. We need to start looking at going to the end. More than anything for ender pearls. I don't really care as much about fighting the dragon and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, I guess we should do that at some point. So we're going to need to get a enchanting setup. We're going to need to get actual armor. We can just make full out netherite gear because why not? I mean, netherite ingots are something we can make. We've made them before. I don't know if there's a good way or not, but tungsten and carbon is not too difficult for us to get at this point. So we can make netherite gear, and at the very least for the armor would probably be good. And then just get a full enchanting setup going and get some good enchants and call it a day. So that's going to be the plan. I'm going to work on that between episodes. I might work a little bit more. There's a couple other quest lines that we can work on. Computer craft is pretty easy to get those two quests done. However, it's going to take... No, we don't need those anymore. It's going to take some more Terra Steel, so I need to get the mana for. And eventually we'll probably move, like I said, the Botania stuff over to the farm. And when we do, we'll probably upgrade it, get some better stuff, get some better generating flowers, and put some automation into it. But that's going to be it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We got a lot of stuff done with Project E, and that is huge to get more flux. So all things considered, pretty good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!